Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we're privileged to have with us Jason Womack, who is the co-founder of the Get Momentum Leadership Academy. Jason, welcome to the program.
Good day, everybody. Thank you for just putting this together, listening to your cast and knowing what you're doing for folks. That word influence, especially important to my mind. I always ask people to think about what that means to them. And then today, let's see how we can help your folks.
Yeah, awesome. And you've got such the storied past and you do such great things, but I want to get right into what is this Leadership Academy, because I love how people choose names. So Get Momentum Leadership Academy. So leadership is something that is so critical today because you can have personal leadership, corporate leadership, and all of those factors that go into that. But how does Get Momentum factor into how we should be approaching leadership?
I'll start off by saying there's three concerns that everyone that you serve have. If you're an entrepreneur and you're going to bring in employees or contractors, consultants, customers for that matter, when I go into a situation, there's three things on my mind. Now, not necessarily in this order, although I would attack all three of them simultaneously. Really quick, it is ability, stability, and mobility. These are the three ITs of engagement. So when I think of momentum, the first thing I'm asking myself is, do I have the ability to come back when I get hit, when I get knocked down, when something doesn't turn out right, when a goal doesn't get achieved, right? When I appoint a goal and I don't achieve it, I am disappointed. Do I have the ability to get back to where I need to be? And that ability could be the knowledge I need. It could be the network I need. It could be the information that I need. Now, real quick, I'll just go through these three and then we can digress on each one if we want. Stability. This is especially important for folks who aren't satisfied, meaning they're looking around, they're going, well, yesterday was pretty good. Today, so far, pretty good. I know I can be better tomorrow, but wait a minute. What's about to come at me? What surprise is coming? Where's the market turning? Where is that product that we've been offering, whether it's a service, a product, whatever it is? Where is that on shaky ground? Because if I don't feel stable and if I don't have the ability, all of a sudden now I'm going to start wondering, questioning myself, questioning what it is that I'm doing. Now, all of that goes into the third one, which people go, wait a minute, Jason, you're talking about stability. Then the next one you say is mobility. Yeah. People need to know that there is a path forward. They need to know on a conscious level that their unconscious need for growth and development, whether that's personal growth or professional growth, personal development or professional development. I remember listening to the great Robert Cialdini. Since you're talking about influence, I can't not think of his name. Yeah. And he was a speaker. We spoke at the same conference years ago, and he went on after I talked to the audience, and he drew across the whiteboard up in the front of the room, if you can imagine. He drew this line, and it would go across and then up and then back down, and across and up and then back down, across and then up and then back down. What he said was a relationship will get great, and then it'll come back to normal, and then it'll get great, and then it'll come back to normal. He says, if you don't have peaks of greatness, if you don't have peaks of, wow, that was incredible, wow, that was incredible. Well, here's the fascinating thing. As he was drawing this across the whiteboard, it looked like a heartbeat. It looked like a engagement over time. I don't want to flatline. I don't want to fall off. So I need to know ability. Can I do what I've been tasked to do? Stability. Do I have the foundation? Am I standing on fertile, firm soil that I can look around and go, okay, things are safe? Mobility. Where can we go or where can we grow from here? So when we started the Get Momentum Leadership Academy, we wanted to offer people a way to tap back in, strengthen their ability, be confident that they are stable, that they are engaged, that they are that they're standing there looking around going, okay, now that things are safe, where can I go or grow next? And then if we have time, I'll talk a little about how Get Momentum works from our perspective. One last thing about that word momentum, and Jodi, my wife and co-author and co-founder, she will say to folks, hey, the reason we call it momentum is that momentum is something that you re-get. You don't just get it once, it does go away. Or maybe as the great Jim Rohn used to say, bathing is good, you should shower every day. Right? You don't just do it once.
But then you have to do it again once in a while. Yeah.
Every now and again, depending, right?
It kind of reminds me of, I remember seeing Zig Ziglar mention something similar to that same statement. And he said, and by the way, we need to have a holistic approach to our life and actually exercise too. And please don't think that your exercise is to sit in the tub, pull the drain, and fight the current, because we have to do a little bit more than that. And
then being able to create your own current. I mean, I think that's something that if I look out at the great leaders of the future, right, a decade from now, it's going to be the people who have been practicing. So we grew up, or at least I grew up, hearing that statement, practice makes perfect, which I've never believed. I just didn't have the vocabulary for it. Ultimately, what I discovered is that practice makes three things minimum. Practice makes three things. So for those of you who are looking to get momentum, watch these. The first thing that practice makes is normal. So if you have someone in your life who is normally late, they have practiced not being cognizant of the importance of time, great. They have practiced, and that's their normal. The next thing that practice makes is comfortable. So if you open up the fridge and you're comfortable eating the kinds of foods that are in your fridge, then you're basically saying, I'm comfortable with the body that I've got right now. You want to change what you express through your body. I have to change what I put into it. And then probably the worst thing that practice makes, and this is where I worry for people, is that practice makes accepted. So if I have a boss that gets angry regularly and yells at her or his people, they have practiced getting angry at their people. If people accept that by saying, well, that's how she is, that's how he is, that's what practice makes. So I always worry when people are practicing, I'm not going to say the wrong things, Mike. What I'm going to say is, are you practicing the habits, activities, routines that are getting you more of what you want or getting you away from what you don't want?
And I'm sure you've heard the saying as well, perfect practice makes perfect, because it's not just practice makes perfect. You could be practicing your whatever leadership skills, but they're not quite right where it needs to be. So it's just going to be keeping that flat line. So it needs to be really relevant, high performing, perfect practice so that it leads to the objective that you want.
And that one, I'll pile on there, the great military term we use often, I'll pile on to that. Perfect practice makes perfect. Perfect in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. So if my boss sees me practicing something, but she or he can go, you know what, 18 months from now, if you're still doing that, you might not bust through that next plateau. Vice, if someone says, hey, what you're practicing is perfect, how is it sit for you? Yeah. Well, now all of a sudden things like personality, things like preference, things like outlook, things like mindset. So I always question that perfect in the eye of the beholder, and sit down and have that transparent conversation. Can I tell a quick story about this? Do you have time?
Yeah, sure.
So I was working with a client yesterday. This is one of my private coaching clients. And about 6 months in, we talk about once a month. And these are pretty deep conversations, pretty heart-led conversations. And my client was sharing with me over the past weekend, they celebrated their birthday. And the spouse said, hey, what do you want to do for your birthday? And my client said, I'd love just to knock off a couple of errands. There's been some stuff that's been backing up on me this week, and if I could just check some things off. Well, the spouse says, gosh, you're always working. Can't we just I want you to have a birthday where you're just relaxed. Yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing. In the eye of the beholder, a birthday of relaxation was doing nothing. In the eye of the other beholder, which was the most important person, the most relaxing thing that this person could have done from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday would have been to hit CVS. So I said to this person, I said, hey, look, Summertime, what's coming at you? Well, we're taking a 2-week-long vacation. I said, full stop. I won't swear on your podcast, so we don't have to put the E next to it. I said, full stop. Right now, you need to pull out a piece of paper, and you need to write down what a relaxing day on vacation is for you. In fact, you probably need to do 14 of these, because you're going to have 14 different kinds of days on vacation. And if your spouse thinks a relaxing vacation is X, and you think a relaxing day of vacation is Y, you're going to get to the end of the vacation stressed out, unless you have a conversation. That's really wise. Eye of the beholder, man. Eye of the beholder.
You know, I want to go back to a point you made just a second ago, because I think there's something interesting that popped into my mind, at least. You were talking about mobility, and it made me think about being nimble and the minimum viable product concept. You know, like you need to be mobile and nimble. And I think typically people think of that MVP like, oh, it's a product and let's just get it out there and then we'll improve. But couldn't minimum viable product and nimble be also applied to your personal development / leadership? Because maybe you don't need to do it all right this second. Maybe it is that minimum viable and then you improve from there. Because like you said, when you practice, you kind of create that norm. Well, you shouldn't do that for the rest of your life or career. Then you need to go, okay, assess where am I at, and then where can I amp it up and now practice the right thing to get to the next level, right?
So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, those of you listening, don't do this while you're driving, but I'll walk you through this. Let's attack the word leadership. Now, of all the definitions that we have, gosh, you line up 10 of us and you go, hey, what does leadership mean? You're going to get 11 different definitions. Let's just play with this as a foundation. So if I think MVP, minimal viable product, I think of the word leadership. Now I need to go at least one level deeper, and I need to ask myself, what does leadership do? Not what does it mean, not how do you define it, not what does it do. And I've come up with 4 things, Mike. There are 4 things that leadership can do in this order: inform, invite, influence, and inspire. I'll slow down. As a leader, if I'm practicing leadership, one thing that I can be doing, one thing that minimal viable product can do is inform. So how does a thought leader, how does a TED speaker, how does a CEO lead their organization? Well, they need to inform the organization. What do they need to inform? Well, you look at someone standing on the red circle, they're going to inform the audience of an experience they had. They're going to inform the audience of the research they've done. I think of Jill Bolte-Taylor, the famous TED speaker, walking onto the stage, and she pulls a brain out of formaldehyde, right? She's like, here's a brain. She informed the audience. The next thing we can do is invite. A minimal viable product will invite the recipient to participate, right? Go back to the original. Do a Wayback website for Facebook. Well, it'd be the Facebook. Yeah. You look at the original platform. You look at the UI, the UX of original the Facebook. You're like, no way would this be a multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah. But what they did was the leadership of the Facebook worked not just on informing people, but what they do? They invited. Step 3, leadership. It influences. So the minimal viable product, can I influence the world, the client, the user, the customer? Can I influence them? All right, so you look at the first platform sharing communities. Could the ride sharing, the house sharing, the moped sharing, the babysitter sharing economies have erupted if it weren't for the minimal viable product? Yeah. I mean, I look back at Craigslist. Craigslist to me was a way of testing what would happen if I put my couch and my address and the word free on the internet. Right? Here's a couch. Here's my address. Come get it for free. And then the 4th thing, what does leadership do? It inspires. So all of a sudden, when I come back, if I loop back to this idea of get momentum, how do I get momentum with a minimal viable product? I need to double down on which one do I want to do next. Do I want the product to inform, invite, influence, or inspire? And then once I identify that, I reverse engineer the heck out of it, I socialize the heck out of it, and I beta test.
Yeah. And then start the process all over and just assess and make
One more time.
Yeah.
Let the market votes with their dollar and their feet.
Yeah.
So I say all the time, I will put something up on the internet with a dollar sign next to it, or I will put something together where people can walk into a room to listen to or experience something. If I put that dollar sign button on the internet and no one clicks on it, they're voting with their dollar. If I put together a leadership program where I invite people in for a couple of hours, if they get up for the break and they don't come back, they vote with their feet.
Yep.
Versus if I put something on the internet with a dollar sign, I can't keep it in stock, or I get to the end of the day. This happened to me last week in D.C. We went from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I said, hey, we're supposed to leave this room at 4 because the room rental is over. I'm walking across the street to the Whole Foods. They have a little gathering area. 27 of the 80 people followed us over to Whole Foods just to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Literally voting with their feet.
After a full day. So that says a lot.
Got to follow the market. You got to offer the market what they want more of.
I have a feeling that we could probably continue down this path for about 6.5 more hours and then still be taking our breath and going for round 2. So why don't we wrap up with saying, if people are interested in finding more about your Get Momentum Leadership Academy, what's the best way that they can learn more, reach out, pick up a copy of your book or two, and go from there?
So Amazon.com, the best place to go get the books. They're on all 3 formats, digital, audio, and print. If you go over to getmomentum.com, that's our website that outlines the academy. Just a real quick plug for this work. Grab a 3x5 note card. On the front side of that note card, make a list of roles, goals, areas of focus you're holding for the next 6 months. And then on the other side of that note card, write down 3 to 5 sentences as if you were already there. The Get Momentum Leadership Academy walks people through 12 different areas of focus. I invite everybody to start with one on their own.
Well, I love it. And Jason, thank you for your time. I love your energy, your enthusiasm, and your insights. And it's just really a great time to spend with you. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
I will meet you, and I will raise you what you're doing and coming back and offering your listeners this kind of time. People will say all the time that they wish they had more time. What I really think people want is they want information in the time they've got that'll make them a better person. And I think that's what you're doing with the podcast. So thank you, and keep going, brother.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.